This is an Audio Wool original.
It is Frightday, coming to you live from our little compound in the woods of Montana. Sorry, I was just getting my notes up. Tonight, sometimes we find ourselves drifting through life, feeling like we're not connected at work, in relationships, like something must be missing, or that you've missed something. Then suddenly an opportunity lands in our lap that feels scary but natural. Almost instinctual. You should chase those things.
Should you?
But what will you find when you finally catch up?
I don't know that you actually should chase them.
We'll talk about that. Life, mommies and daddies. As we review Oz Perkins' Longlegs, I'm joined tonight by Kelly.
Oh, God, I'd forgotten about that. Ooh.
Sam can't make it because he's working on some dolls.
He is.
Good for him.
It's a little weird.
Burning the midnight oil. And yes, iPod Jackson, this is live.
Yeah.
At live.frightday.com every Tuesday, typically at 7 p.m. MST. We think.
Yeah.
I mean, it might address.
Around those parts?
I hope so, but we'll let you know.
Yeah, yeah.
On social media at Frightday.
Yep.
Twitter, Instagram, all those places.
Yep.
But also if you follow or subscribe to us at live.frightday.com or twitch.tv/audiowool network, then you get to know when we go live first. And I'll let you know.
First.
Yeah, Kelly,
Yes.
I assigned you a cold open, but it turned out we just had a bit of a misunderstanding.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to just assign myself that next week
Okay.
I got to have something. I've got some options.
Oh, I have something.
I'm going to take advantage of the fact that it's live to work something in that you might not let me work in otherwise.
Sure, yeah, let it rip, I guess.
I mean, no, I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to drop it on you next week is what I'm saying.
The Frightday phone lines are now open.
Oh, God, are you really going to do that?
1-833-374-4489 now. To share your parent...
Don't call now. I just wanted to say that...
I mean, like...
We got
now is just a relative thing because if people are listening to this at any point other than 9:33 Mountain Standard Time
and
on Tuesday, August 27th,
we'll open the phone lines.
Now doesn't mean now.
Day after my birthday, by the way.
It is the day after Byron's birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, you bought me a White Claw non-alcoholic premium seltzer, which is interesting to me. And I don't know what this is. What
a non-alcoholic cider. But not apple cider. It's like an alcoholic cider that's non-alcoholic.
So, okay, interesting.
It's pineapple flavor. I have to say, this is Sam's like new favorite thing in the entire world are these.
That's cool. Yeah. How's that guy been? Good?
I mean, he's fine. The kids go back to school tomorrow, which makes me sad because I'm like, oh my God, there were so many things I wanted to do this summer. And he's like, oh my God, I can't wait.
He's looking forward to.
Yeah, it's been a lot more.
That tastes good. It's a White Claw.
Is it pretty good?
It's just seltzer. It's just a seltzer.
I mean, it doesn't taste different than like a seltzer. It doesn't taste like it's had like alcohol put in and then taken back out again.
So I pushed the phone button and I prompted folks last week, both on the podcast as well as via all of our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, asking for people to send, stories about the most cursed or haunted items in their house.
Okay.
And we didn't get anyone.
Oh, like no phone calls either?
No, we got phone calls.
But not about that.
Nothing about that. So let's just go to the phone lines real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I found this number written on a bus stop, and I called it, and I thought there would be girls.
Girls.
Wait a second.
There's one girl.
Wait a second.
What?
That voice sounds familiar.
I don't know what you mean. Is it the... Is it
No,
that guy?
I don't
Longlegs?
think it's
Longlegs
Longlegs.
calling?
It sounds like somebody who shouldn't be trolling for women is what it sounds
I
like.
don't know what that means.
That sounds a little bit like
It's your birthday.
That kind of guy.
it sounds like somebody who should be working on dolls instead of
Oh,
trolling
you're
for
saying
women.
that's Sam?
Sure
Really?
sounds like Sam
All
to
right.
me.
Well, so we got prank phone calls.
Fuck.
What else do we have here? Someone talking about.
My darkest secret. I have many. I'll call back.
Oh, okay.
Wait a
A
second.
little tease for some darkest secrets.
Okay, did you just see that outside? Something is going on out there.
All right, Kelly sees spotlights going
Okay,
around the
okay,
neighborhood, and I don't know what's going on.
We live like in a not. There aren't spotlights. This
You would
isn't-
say it's rural.
I mean, it's pretty rural.
rural.
And I'm driving in, and there's like a bit of a weird storm brewing.
Okay.
And in fact, like I would say, the light is somewhat reminiscent of the light in Close Encounters of the Third
A
Kind.
movie premiere.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit. But like all of a sudden I see these spotlights shooting up at the clouds and like swaying around. Then they disappear. And then I see like red pulsing light.
Okay. I
And then that goes away.
don't know what to tell you.
And then when I was pulling up, like right when I got here, there was some pretty decent lightning going on.
In the chat, they're saying, I don't have any cursed things, but I have a lot of stuff from dead people. Well,
Okay,
why didn't you call in? Leave a message. I forgot to say the number. This is important. Put it in your phone.
Oh, actually, yeah, I was going to say, how are you supposed to get people to call in if you're not going
Well,
to give the number?
You call 1-833-374-4489, which is 1-833-FRIGHT-9.
Fright
9. Not Fright
The Frightday
Day,
phone
not
lines
Fright
are now
Night.
open.
Fright
Call
9.
1-833-374-4489 now to share your paranormal encounters.
When you go live.
1-833 Fright 9.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to remember.
1-833 Fright 9.
We got another interesting call. I don't know if I want to invite this kind of stuff on the
Oh,
show.
Jesus. Am I going to...
Hello? Somebody there? Somebody finally pick up the other end of this thing? Now I heard somebody say something. Don't be shy.
What the...
They call me the piano man. You ever heard of me? Probably not. I never told nobody what I did, and for damn sure ain't nobody ever found out.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hey.
Now, y'all ought not be opening up connections to places you don't understand if you ain't got no aim to be talking to nobody. That's just downright rude, and we play for keeps down here. You understand me? Hello?
Hello.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Okay.
Don't be shy.
Okay. What was that a reference to?
I don't know. So I pre-recorded. Let's be honest. Spooky nonetheless, but a lot of post-production went into
Okay,
that.
so somebody actually left that.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so here's the thing that I'm going to struggle with,
but
guys.
no, I did research on the Piano Man.
Oh, like it's an actual thing?
No.
Well, Billy Joel.
Well, yeah, of course, the rock and roll pianist, Billy
How
Joel.
much research did you do? Why didn't you make me do research? I do research. I
because
love
the
research.
whole point is sometimes I catch you off guard, you know.
I mean, it is not hard to catch me off guard. That's
true.
like the
You might
lowest
have-
hanging fruit.
You might have forgotten by the time that we...
I almost certainly will.
Yeah. So the Piano Man, I couldn't find anything about the Piano Man, and I kind of searched a little bit of the key moments of, dialogue. Couldn't find anything. It didn't come through our traditional phone line, which is also interesting.
How?
They emailed us. Who's they? I don't know, because the email was thepianoman26@protonmail.com, which is one of those secure email.
hold on.
Now, you're not going to be able to find anything, and we shouldn't do it now because we got other things to talk about tonight. But I'm excited if the Piano Man is going to be like a reoccurring, thing here.
See, here's the thing, and this is full transparency to everybody listening except Byron.
Yeah.
I know as a longtime listener, and like I've listened to every episode of Art Bell at least 12 times at this point because it is constantly played. Sam constantly has it on. Mm-hmm. And I, at this point, know that some of the crazy notable episodes were real, and some of them were almost certainly
produced.
Yeah, at least to some degree.
Well, why don't we talk to Art's former producer? We have a
well,
line
he's never
going to
spill those beans.
I guess, yeah, he wouldn't want to do anything to damage the...
Yeah, but I know Byron would do the same thing to me.
Oh, you think I did the Piano Man? You know I don't give a fuck about that stuff.
You know that if you can get me creeped out enough, it would be entertaining to you.
So you're calling me the Piano Man? You're telling this guy that he's
Does that mean you kill people with piano wires? No, I don't think that'd be your vibe.
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
But I think it's something that you would make up to scare me.
So if I was to do the Piano Man, you know it would sound a lot more lo-fi than that, and I would use true analog technology, which this did not appear to sound like. It sounded very digital to me. But
that's a good point.
I don't want to
That's
critique the Piano Man because I again. If the Piano Man is going to be a thing...
or would you do it that way so that I would think that it could never be you?
A.B. Yankee says, I have an old family Bible. Everyone was afraid of it for some reason, and somehow it was passed down to me when my father died. So that's sort of cursed, which is kind of...
Why were people afraid of it? That's got to be a story.
Why don't you call
in? Could you please tell me the story?
Give us a ring, 1-833-374-4489. Yeah. So, I love the phone lines. I think that maybe we do another call to action here.
The Piano Man in New York.
Kelly, please.
Oh, it's a video game.
This is one of those things where you gotta be able to move forward.
Yeah, well,
because we're broadcasting live to people and it's also being recorded.
Yeah, you also just played something incredibly creepy and you want me to just move on now.
Yeah, because that's typically how a show works. Is we don't spend 45 minutes talking about the Piano Man.
I mean, I don't know. That feels like something that. Oh.
Great. I'm just saying, I mean, I'm excited. That's very cool. If the Piano Man was to call in again, I'd be fine with it.
I don't know if I would. Right, I would like some context so I can do some research, please.
Well, that's
if you
cool.
could give me some context.
So we're talking about a film later, but do you want to talk about some films before? Did you pick one?
I mean, yes. We'll see if you're okay with it.
They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good.
E.T.'s mom in it?
The Howling, horror, straight ahead.
Who should go first here?
I mean, you should go first.
Okay,
I think I went first last week.
I think you may have. The year is 2010.
Ooh, okay. Interesting.
And this is not typically something I would recommend, and I haven't seen it in a while. It's a dark Korean revenge thriller. Do you have any idea where I'm going here? Kim Ji-woon, director.
Oh, yeah. Interestingly, I've actually seen this one.
You've seen I Saw the Devil.
Which is remarkable.
Yeah. So on a dark road, a taxi driver comes across a scared female motorist stranded in a broken down vehicle. He pulls over, but not to help her. When the woman's head is discovered in a local river, her devastated fiancé, a trained secret agent, becomes obsessed with hunting down her killer. And once he finds the killer, everything gets twisted and gets really, really good. After brutally beating the murderer, he lets them go. And then a demented game of cat and mouse begins. This film rules. It's been a very long time. I think I watched it pretty close to the time it had its U.S. release. I'm not sure if it was a Netflix DVD or if it was part of my torrenting era. But either way, loved it. Absolutely brutal. And like they said, twisted. It's not a straightforward kind of feature, you know. The concept of releasing the murderer of your fiancé just because you haven't gotten enough revenge yet is kind of fun, kind of interesting. Probably my favorite in the revenge subgenre, films like Old Boy, Sympathy for Mr. Revenge, which I don't think I have seen. I think I've seen Lady Revenge, though.
I haven't seen either of those. And it's weird because my upbringing on revenge movies is more like weird, toxic masculinity 70s, 80s movies like Dirty Harry or like
that's your revenge.
Charles Bronson movies or like.
I wonder just how much Korean revenge is influenced by like 70s, 80s American revenge films.
Could be. I have no idea. But then Jodie Foster was in a killer one that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting. But you do like I Saw the Devil.
I mean, it was good.
It's a tough watch.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not one that I'm going to watch again.
Yeah.
It was a very high quality movie that was incredibly
intense.
Yeah, effective. It was a very effective horror movie.
Yeah. I'm probably going to watch it again. Hopefully soon. And really curious to know if we're ever going to get the Adam Wingard remake that's been in production for like, I don't know, probably a decade at this point.
Oh, yeah, that feels like
he was always
out
rumored to be
point.
picking it up. Well, I don't know, actually. Adam hasn't really followed up in my book, if I'm being honest.
Well, I don't even...
Remember he did Godzilla stuff.
I do, and then I haven't heard anything about him since then. Was there anything meaningful that he was...
I mean, I think he's truly just a mainstream director at this point. Because it was Death Note for Netflix, which was a flop, and Godzilla vs. Kong, which did fine and probably made people a bunch of money. And then there's Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Empire, which is supposed to come out this year or already did.
Oh, and he's doing that one too?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's just like all he does now.
It's his thing. He's the you know how Abrams took over the Star Wars mantle for a little bit. I feel like he's doing the Godzilla thing.
Let's not compare the two.
And there's only one film in pre-production, which is an action horror thriller called Onslaught, which is also written by Simon Barrett, whose I believe film directing debut is coming out soon here on Shudder.
But he's actually
called Azrael, which I saw at South
by... Azrael is one of those demons.
Yes, yeah, but it's
also the name of the cat in the Smurfs.
It's also a film I saw at South by Southwest starring Samara Weaving. That's and E.L. Katz directed that. It wasn't Simon. Simon wrote it.
Remind me what E.L. Katz has done.
He did Cheap Thrills.
Oh yes, that's right.
This movie fucking rules. Really excited about that. But rewinding a couple steps, so does I Saw the Devil.
Okay.
I Saw the Devil. I don't know how many times though. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Talking about tonight's film.
Oh, yes. True. Also, that's fine.
What? How about you, Kelly?
So there's a documentary movie that came out last year that I haven't seen, but I don't know if you have seen, Byron. What I thought was very interesting about this movie is, I don't think it's spoiling our review that we're going to do, to say that it feels like the flip side of what we're always saying about the Satanic Panic.
Okay.
That it was like total bullshit and that there was nothing to be panicked about. And this movie kind of explores maybe the idea that maybe there was something to be...
Satan.
Yeah.
Satan.
Yep, there he is.
Yeah.
Maybe there was something to be panicked about. And
Whoa.
Oh, man. I'm going to start... Wow. Okay. I think this would be an interesting documentary to watch because it explores the origins of the Satanic Panic and certainly seems to be aimed at more of a discrediting than a crediting of the Satanic Panic. However, the documentary got mixed reviews. It's called Satan Wants You.
Yeah. Didn't this premiere at South by Southwest 2 years ago? Something like that.
Might have been a year ago, actually. Well, a year and a half ago, I guess. But I think it was in 2023 that it premiered there. I could be crazy.
Let's see what this says here.
Side A, November 1976.
Let us come as much as you can.
I couldn't get away. I couldn't believe I was down there. Joining me now
Victoria is Michelle Smith, a one-time
Michelle
victim of abuse by a
remembers.
satanic cult, and Dr. Lawrence Pastor, the psychiatrist
Piece of
who helped me come
shit.
to terms with that nightmare.
The book is called Michelle Remembers.
Michelle remembers.
We wrote it together.
The first publicized account of such rituals.
They would put me in cages, sacrifice animals.
Eating feces and orgies and dismembering fetuses. These were things that you experienced.
That's right.
Who are these people?
Well, they're a secret organization, they're a secret society.
When that book came out, all hell broke loose.
It was a theory that there's a satanic conspiracy and there are children who are kidnapped, stolen, and sacrificed.
It's known as the Satanic Panic in the 1980s and 90s. I consulted on hundreds of these cases all over the Western world.
There are thousands of men and women who are secretly worshiping the devil.
Are you accusing me of being a Satanist?
I know you murdered babies, and I know you made me murder babies.
More than 300 counts of sodomy, rape, and oral copulation.
So many different kinds of people believed that this was happening. It was dead serious.
There were people who went to jail.
It's very hard to believe.
There are too many people telling too many stories for this not to be true.
And all of this was started by this book.
You're not just the psychiatrist to me.
Yeah.
So it's all based on kind of this almost patient zero book for the panic that...
Was it Michelle Remembers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe it's the author of Michelle Remembers was paid by police agencies across the country to train them on like symbols to look out for, behaviors to, monitor that would be telltale signs of. And also he pioneered regression therapy at this point, at least this version of satanic ritual abuse, regression hypnotherapy.
Which I think is interesting for all sorts of reasons. At some point, I feel like we need to do that story and just...
Yeah,
I know it's been done a lot, but just even as like okay, this is a touch point.
It could be a Truth or Fake News episode. Like it could
that'd be a great idea.
I think we could really get into it. Like,
I think that'd be a really good idea because...
Well, the media was the media fueled this. They ate it up.
And the Catholic Church supposedly got really into it because it was hopefully going to inspire more people to go back to church. And really, it sounds like this documentary takes the position of paralleling this story to a lot of the stuff that goes on with QAnon, Pizzagate, which you can certainly see the parallels. I think it's
even
a lot
going back in time to the Salem witch trials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just a lot to bite off for a short form documentary, maybe for like a mini series 8-episode thing. It would be more successful, but it sounds like there was just too much that was packed into this doc, but I still think it's interesting, especially to look at it. And it did premiere in 2023, so it's only a year and a half ago that it premiered at South by. Worth looking at. I think
it's out. It's a Tubi original, which is interesting, but also I believe it's available on Amazon Prime for rent.
So check it out. I am going to be watching it. If for no other reason, then I think we should be doing a Truth or Fake News episode. And it really does stir up some of these interesting things for me, where on the one hand, this would lead you to believe that there was nothing to the Satanic Panic. On the other hand, our terrifying movie of the week would be like, well, maybe there was something to it. And reality is probably somewhere much more in the realm of human fault than either of those things.
Yeah. I think we could really approach it from a media first perspective, like without going into like the details, like beyond that, like the personal
right, like
details.
Why did the media latch onto this, and what was the narrative that they were trying to push, and what was and the outcomes too are pretty huge, even if
And also, I think we discussed it a couple weeks ago. We are going to be re-releasing our Michael Jackson Truth or Fake News for everyone on the main feed, which will be a fun little treat.
I mean, people are going to be mad at me for that, but I have to say...
I think you put in the work at least enough to have an opinion, to ask a question.
Yeah, and I think, before anybody starts screaming at me, please at least listen carefully to what I say.
Yeah.
I could be wrong all the time.
You're wrong a lot.
I am wrong a lot. I tell my daughters that all the time. I really like the idea of getting to the root of some of the sources behind what fuels domino effects.
Yeah.
You were talking about regression hypnosis. I think that's something that plays into a lot of the things I investigate. And it's really hard for you to even voice any degree of potential credibility in it, a lot because of this scenario with Michelle Remembers.
Yeah.
It has a chilling effect, as the Supreme Court might say.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to be quoting the Supreme Court these
Not
days either.
these days,
though.
no. Did we give anyone? I first of all, this is live. It's we pivoted a video. We forgot to mention that it's going to be available.
Hi everybody.
Watch it. Watch us on YouTube. YouTube.com/Frightday.
Anybody has any great makeup recommendations?
Jeez, Kelly. No one cares.
I know, but I care.
Oh wait, I didn't even tell you.
It's being locked in.
In the Discord, discord.frightday.com. Everyone said Kelly doesn't need to worry about that. She looks beautiful.
Oh well, that's very sweet of everybody.
So.
I have really big pores. I don't know if you can see.
No one can see the pores.
I think
Stop
that the pores
doing
are.
that.
Anyhow, working on the pores.
Okay, me too. Working on my pores. But yeah, if you want to call
We
in,
should do masks one of these nights
sure.
while we're doing it.
Well, that's what we'll do in Behind the Screams.
I will bring.
What do we want to
masks.
ask people to call in? The voicemail number. We've gotten away from that. 1-833-374-4489.
1-833-FRIGHT9.
Yes, give that a call. Leave us a message. Maybe.
No, still tell us about a cursed thing.
No, that has nothing to do with this week's film.
I mean, okay, then tell us about when you did regression hypnosis.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Maybe ideas.
Or when you were an FBI agent.
How about your favorite? Oh, this is it. I actually got a text from our mutual friend Jim. He said
hey, Jim.
he had watched Longlegs and has some pretty strong opinions about it, but also...
Let me guess, he hated it.
That's not true, not necessarily.
Really?
But
I'm going to text him.
He said, the first thing he said to me was, what genre movie is Longlegs? Because I don't know if you recall the great thriller versus horror debate that we had for like 3 hours one night, where I said that there's a big difference between. I think I don't even know where my position was, but the debate was about the film Seven and whether it's horror, thriller, and I think I landed on it's a dark thriller, and then he's like, well, then what is a thriller? And we just kind of like yelled at each other for forever.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to know what your favorite
like
dark thriller is, or even like, there's a lot of films like this that are like procedural dark thrillers. So
I would call horror.
Which Kelly would call horror. But yeah, call us and let us know what your favorites are, because that is also what we're going to be talking about tangentially and Behind the Screams.
Seven feels legit horror to me, man.
Yeah, well, he put that thing on me and he told me to fuck her, and I did. I fucked her? Is that the lie?
Yeah,
that's
it's
pretty
funny.
foul. For
the longest time, I had no idea what anyone was talking about
because it's implied.
Well, no.
I mean,
no, because I watched Seven when I was very young,
Mm-hmm.
but my dad edited it to cut that single one out.
Your dad's doing like Mormon video edits?
Well, obviously not too Mormon, because I still saw the rest of them.
How's he doing that? He had like a like 2 VCRs.
No, but like actually.
He really was doing this.
No, literally. He did that with The Shining, he did it with Fargo, he did it with Seven.
Your dad loves cinema, and I appreciate it.
He does. And the only thing he loves more is not being forced to watch things that uncomfortable with his daughter. So
yeah.
He was like, well, I'm going to have my cake and eat it too. We'll let her watch all the blood and none of the sex.
It's like when I watched Vegas Vacation with my family, and I had to watch the topless leg kicking dancers in that sequence. That was burned into my mind.
Oh, we watched that too. Definitely didn't get that scene.
Oh, interesting. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So Kelly, we're just locking up tonight because I didn't have time to fix something. Our society music triggered a copyright on YouTube.
Why?
Because it's not original, but speaking of original music, though, we did actually commission a version of our intro for Behind the Screams from one of my favorite current musicians, Molly Drag.
Oh, I don't know who that is, but I am sure they are great.
Yeah, they are great. It's sounding great, and I can't wait to share that with you guys. What?
It's just weird. I thought that music was ours.
You thought that weird? I mean, we could play a clip of it real quick, like this one.
Whose is that?
I don't know. I found it somewhere. I think I found it on a new age, like cassette tape rip.
And that somehow got fucking flagged?
Yeah, I guess so. But
who's the lawyer watching out for that?
I don't know. I mean, it's automated copyright detection, and I appreciate. I mean, I think it's fine. We are sharing the revenue from that last episode in half with them. So next week
with whoever that new age music composer was?
Yeah, these guys.
Oh, if it's going to them, then that's great.
It's not. Where else do you think royalties go to, Kelly?
Some evil production company
That's
that
not
owns
how it
them?
works, but,
yes, it is.
So no society rituals today.
Hey, I'm going to the Ray LaMontagne concert next week. I can ask him if we can use one of his songs.
Let's not do that.
You don't think that's on brand?
Let's do this.
Okay, well. They can have the girls write something for us.
I'm a musician.
Yeah, but you don't have time for that shit.
Yeah,
I used to write music. Bet you didn't know that.
Stop talking.
I did.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
She is. The almost birthday girl. Oh, but it seems I wore my long legs today. What happens if
Longlegs. It's I hope we aren't splitting money with these guys. It's a 2024 American horror thriller written and directed by Oz Good Perkins, starring Micah Monroe, Nick Cage, Blair Underwood, and Alicia Witt.
Really like Blair Underwood. Just gonna throw that out.
Great. FBI agent Lee Harker is assigned to an unsolved serial killer case that takes an unexpected turn, revealing evidence of the occult. Harker discovers a personal connection to the killer and must stop him before he strikes again. Oz Perkins.
Yep.
The second, because I think his grandpa was the first Oz Good Perkins.
Oh, I didn't
Did you
know that.
Yeah.
No.
Born February 2nd, 1974 in New York City, writer, director, and actor. I believe we talked about this when we covered other films of his. But yeah, eldest son of Anthony Perkins, sadly died of complications from AIDS. And his mother was a photographer named Barry Berenson.
She was a model and actress.
Yeah. Also died in 9/11.
Yeah, she was on the plane that was bound for World Trade Center.
Well, yeah, it stinks.
Very, very scary.
Yeah. Sad.
Well, and
tragic.
Yeah, I mean, you just think about that pairing. Two parents with incredibly tragic stories for very different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And what a unique combination to spring forth from.
Birthed some lovely children who I would never call Nepo babies.
No.
Oz Perkins. I mean, he was set up for success for sure. Raised in Manhattan and Los Angeles. Went to Harvard Westlake School in Los Angeles and then went to New York. Graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree from New York University.
Oh, he went to oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. NYU arts. That's pretty
But that doesn't mean he's taking advantage of this.
Well, no, and
course,
I honestly would say that NYU is one of those schools
you're
less likely to get in because of a connection at NYU than you are to get in because of a connection at like Penn or Yale.
Sure. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. Ironically, I do.
I wasn't allowed to go to school.
Well, I mean, you were.
What?
You went to school?
Like, I mean, kind of.
Okay.
Listen, I don't know how that stuff works, but he got an education, Bachelor of Arts degree. What does that get you? Can you do film with that?
Well, a BA in like a Bachelor of there are different film degrees you can get. You can a Bachelor of Arts in film, or you can get a Bachelor of Fine Arts in film.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're slightly nuanced differences, but
like
really, if you're
versus
coming,
art,
well, it's just it really depends on the school. But if you're coming out of NYU with a degree in film, you're doing well. You got a good platform from which to launch.
Sure.
I also, when we talk, I don't know how much we're going to talk about the end, but there is something that ties back to his parents that I thought was very interesting.
I don't know anything
about
that.
the storyline that I would like to circle back to.
We should certainly talk about it then. I don't think anything is too surprising about this film that would
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're okay. But his brother is Elvis Perkins. He's also a musician, great musician. Just want to mention that real quick. Good family.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah.
Must have talked about that.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
I've just only paid attention to Oz. That's the only one that settles into my like storage banks.
Well, and I think there's a tie-in here about why. Got his acting career age 12, playing young Norman Bates in Psycho 2 in 1983, which the role was obviously performed by his father, the grown-up version of Norman Bates. But continued acting in various films, including 6 Degrees of Separation in 1993, Legally Blonde in 2001.
I always forget about that.
Yeah, and Not Another Teen Movie in 2001
God,
as
I forget about that. He played such an interesting role in Legally Blonde. I don't know if you've seen it.
I watched it on a date with your sister.
Love it.
I don't remember it.
Okay, so quick thing. I mean, it's basically Reese Witherspoon plays a very stereotypical Southern California sorority girl who applies to law school only to follow the boyfriend who broke up with her and she's desperate to get back together with. And of course, she is actually very smart and does well and gets in. But there's a person she befriends at law school who is this very nerdy, overweight dude who is getting made fun of by these girls. And she's walking by with her pet Chihuahua
just Chihuahua
Bruiser.
for normal folk.
Yeah, and she sees him getting mocked by these girls, and so she steps over to kind of like defend him and make him seem very cool. Very nerdy, overweight, big dude, Oz Good Perkins.
Really?
Very unlike what he looks like now, unlike everything he presents as now, but I'm sure he was just doing, what he could in film, and it's a hell of a, I don't know. It was a interesting ethical discussion point about that movie.
I mean, he wasn't that big, was he?
I mean, compared to now.
I don't think he was a big guy.
And I also think that they made him look that way. I mean,
I think it's we don't need to discuss his physical.
No, I'm saying that's what, again, this is a movie that is highly, contingent upon physical appearance. Everything is.
Sure. And so his character was meant to appear to be kind of buffoonish.
Bigger and definitely buffoonish.
Okay. Interesting. Cool. Well.
Like nerdy geek before, now that's cool. Like now I feel like those people have taken over. Well, they're running things, right? Like I feel like in the sense of how everything has a connection.
We're in a post-nerdist world. I don't think that it's as cool as it was to be a self-proclaimed geek.
Economy-wise, everything really seems to cater to that.
Well, speaking about the past,
my personal group,
The Blackcoat's Daughter directorial debut, 2015. We covered in episode 111.
Mm-hmm. We never did Gretel and Hansel, did we?
We did, episode 242, but we did skip over I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, which was 2006. I believe that was a Netflix thing as well. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't hear great things. Glad we skipped it. Also, I don't know how we felt about Gretel and Hansel, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, it actually isn't that telling that I don't remember it.
Sure, yeah.
I just know that I really like Osgood Perkins. And that Blackcoat's Daughter was great, even though it changed names. And
what was it called originally?
February.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow, isn't it weird how random things I remember?
That is a weird one for you to remember.
It's just sometimes the magnet on my brain is turned on and something will stick there, but most of the time it's very demagnetized.
Interesting.
I just think that Osgood has a very interesting approach. Listening to a couple interviews about this movie after I watched it, he's like the opposite of Francis Ford Coppola.
Which is it's funny.
He refuses to research things. He's like, I make everything up. I don't know if any of this is true about the way that FBI agents talk. I don't know if this is true about how serial killers would act. It's like, I just make it all up.
But he still does very intentional things. I guess let's give a little bit of back history about this before we jump into it. But yeah, Longlegs. Shooting took place in Vancouver and Burnaby, British Columbia.
Love that British Columbia.
January 16th through February 23rd of 2003, so not too long ago.
2023, I assume you mean.
That is exactly
I was going to say, otherwise that's a really long time
Yeah,
ago.
it took a long time to get this done. But yeah, they chose those locations because it was a combination of rural and urban settings. Probably also the tax credits that you get for shooting in Vancouver. But yeah, perfect for the 1990s backdrop. That kind of dreary, cold. They found the right spot for it. But yeah, they shot in old office buildings and an abandoned mental hospital in Vancouver. And yeah, and Burnaby was the rural location, including that farm. But it was released July 12th of 2024, distributed by Neon, which again, I just love that fucking... They're really dominating. A24 can honestly kick rocks.
Well, I still like A24, but I have to say
rocks.
that Neon is definitely kind of king of the castle right now.
I mean, I'm back to back, of course. I mean, because I saw Cuckoo, and we're going to probably, I think, eventually get to that. But they've been doing great stuff for a long time. So I'm glad to see that they're finally getting these, full AMC style releases in theaters. It's kind of wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. How did you start seeing this film roll out? Because it had a very robust, trailer presence as well as like marketing concept around it with like the ciphers, and they had a website that was password protected, which they were releasing like staggered clues on how to like get the password and like when the next drop of this leaked information was going to come out. It was very cool, and I think that's just a testament to the way that Osgood like built his world, right? Like you said, he's not playing off of a different playbook, even though this film it feels quite a bit like Silence of the Lambs.
Well, he had an interesting take on that, too. Apparently, his intention was very much, I'm going to set this up so it feels familiar. It's going to put you into a zone of like, oh, yeah, I remember really liking this. This was great. And slowly you realize, then you realize it's actually very, 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 very different.
Exactly. I don't want to spoil my final thoughts, but it is a really interesting combination of fresh and referential. Like, it's familiar, but also kind of disorienting in a way.
And I think it uses its familiarity to add to how creepy it can feel by then kind of breaking your expectations for what you think is going to happen or what you think something's going to feel like. Byron, anytime there's a movie that I'm genuinely excited about, that I have some immediate impression is going to be scary or I saw that.
Oh, you've never seen this before?
No.
Also, sometimes when I'm excited about a film, I create a novelty T-shirt about it. I guess not novelty, just a...
Oh, that looks really great.
Well, thank you.
It's very exciting.
After seeing the trailers, I was so excited that I created this LONGLEGS T-shirt, which is available at quietneighbor.help. Along with, I think this might be your last opportunity to buy the new Ghoul shirt.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this is an August exclusive in this in this color variant. Yep. So
in black?
Yeah, in this faded black. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But yeah,
what?
Shop.frightday.com. Check it out.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Well, what? You're worried you didn't get your order in on time?
I mean,
you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, the art for this film, like even the posters, like the graphics, the stills that they chose to release.
I tried really hard not to dig into any of it. Now, also, we don't have I don't watch ads for things.
Well, because you don't have
unless
TV.
I see trailers when I'm at a movie, and I'm not cool, so I wouldn't come across like a viral website.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I know I'm interested in a movie,
do you hang on Reddit ever? I feel like that's where a lot of this
I don't
discussion
hang on Reddit.
happens.
I search on Reddit for things.
Okay.
But it's almost always on corners of like RFK conspiracy theories or college admission stuff.
Sure. That makes sense.
So I deliberately avoided all the things. Basically, the picture of Micah pushed back against the wall with blood on her
Yeah.
was the image that I just kept seeing over and over again.
I think the final viral trailer that I saw had to do with it was this really cool. I don't know who had done this in the past, but I know that it wasn't the first time. They filmed the first time that Micah saw Nick Cage for the first time in his makeup. And they had a heart rate monitor on her, and they play the audio from the heart rates as she enters the room to see him for the first time. It's this really, really genius marketing.
What a great idea. I mean, she was very creeped out. Even listening to her in interviews talk about seeing him for the first time in makeup.
Yeah. I mean, what did she say?
Oh, just that, she had read the script and she kind of knew what to expect on a certain level, but that what he embodied as that character was so much deeper.
This is the first time Micah Monroe saw Nicolas Cage as Longlegs. It was in the following scene. So what you're about to hear is Micah's actual heartbeat. So she's walking down she's leaning in the hall, deep breathing. Lots of breathing in this film. She did a wonderful job of.
Action.
She goes in the interrogation room. Sits down at the desk. We still haven't seen Longlegs yet, just her, and his face is blocked out with a
You can't see it because it is really fucking scary.
Micah's resting heart rate is 76. In the scene, it hit 170.
I mean, that makes me feel better.
So, I mean,
I bet mine hit 170 in that scene too.
Really?
Yeah. He was
a great scene.
Very terrifying to me. And I went in kind of ready to be disappointed because I know that there had been both people saying, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then a lot of people saying like, oh my God, what's the big deal? This is like not even scary.
It's interesting. You benefited from a really interesting, like you came in actually you just saw it for the first time on digital when it came out this week. So a lot of people went opening night in the theater as this was marketed as a film that could bring your heart rate from 76 to 170. It fell victim to the next Hereditary syndrome, where something is marketed as the scariest film of the year. And this isn't that film. Like
I don't know, it might be for me.
It's not someone sawing their head off in the corner of a room,
I mean, yeah, but what this was scared me
differently
so badly.
But you could see how someone, like you're saying here, people came out of this saying, oh, I don't know. I don't think
like
it fell victim to expectation.
People are annoying.
People are annoying. They suck. They're terrible. But I heard a lot of people saying that this wasn't the film that they thought it was going to be. And if I'm honest, I'm okay with it. It's just a quick spoiler alert. But yeah, I mean, we start the film with
it's not a movie's job to be what we expect it to be.
I completely agree. The film starts out almost like what is the Ethan Hawke Sinister style with the throwback family footage.
Yep.
And I love that. It's in this 3:4 aspect ratio with the rounded corners.
You go with like the cinematography details.
It's a flashback to Lee Harker's childhood, where she bumps into this gentleman Longlegs, who's parked outside of her family house. I think I have what do I have here?
And that was in 70... What was the year?
Well, I thought I had a clip of it, but I don't. I'm not worried about it. He asks her when her birthday is. And
so awful.
And then as Longlegs, and when he brought his Longlegs as well, but as Longlegs bends down to talk to this young girl who does end up being Lee Harker, we get just a brief glimpse of the face of Longlegs. And discordant strings, title screen, and as these beautiful red cards,
really, really, really red.
And I don't know if you saw, as the title cards came, they started slowly spreading out into normal aspect ratio.
Oh no,
is brilliant work.
Totally didn't.
Very thoughtful stuff by Oz Perkins, and that just continues throughout the film.
I really felt like again, even though Silence of the Lambs was the biggest comparison, there are also things at the beginning that feel even a little bit like Black Phone, or
Sure, you're very much like Black Phone. I'm glad. I forgot that you saw that.
Yeah, it starts all of these little familiar pieces that I think subconsciously or consciously set up expectations for what you think's going to happen next.
Yeah, we open on like this shot of that. I mean, very well could have been from Silence of the Lambs of Jodie Foster in the. It's not a graduation, but it's like a. I don't even know what we call this. Like she's a rookie,
right?
Lee Harker's a rookie, and they're talking about today we're doing stuff that is going to be kind of boring. We're going to go knock on doors.
Nobody wants to do this anymore.
Yeah.
You millennials.
And well, I think it was 1993, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
But she gets partnered up with a guy with really high cheekbones, and he kind of. I mean, yeah, I guess it's still very patriarchal. Like he's like, I'll go. You can stay by the car. I'll go do the knocking, because he senses that she's incapable or not excited to be doing the knocking.
Yeah, and then it also turns into something really funny because he is being so condescending, and she's trying to tell him like, no, this is the house right here.
Well, she steps out and kind of senses something in the wind blows. She says the number of the house, and she says that's the one. Should we call it in? And he's too. He doesn't want to be embarrassed by calling in a hunch with no evidence. So he goes, knocks, and as he knocks, the door opens, and he gets his whole fucking head blown off.
Like, just
jarring.
Right. The one, I don't know. I find it very interesting because Lee has this certainly not, she's not excited about it, but she's got this intuition, let's call it, that she can't completely ignore, and especially in the context of what her job is, causes all sorts of interesting issues.
Well, she does a clairvoyance test, and I mean it confirms that she's better than most. Like it was 8 out of 16.
It
she guessed
reminded
right.
me of remote viewing, because here's the thing: the more I get into this, the more I realize they do tons of that shit
in the FBI.
In law enforcement, and also in military intelligence. Like we were talking about how like regression hypnosis is totally like discredited in most circles. This is the kind of shit that happens all the time, and yeah. A lot of people like us will look at it and say, well, okay, like whatever, 50% success rate is dog shit.
I think it's pretty good.
But realistically, that's amazing. I mean, if you think about it from, I don't know, the utility as a law enforcement professional, being able to have a resource that is right 50% of the time on leads, that's pretty phenomenal, actually. It's pretty good batting average.
I mean, if it's about leads, yeah. So Lee gets, I guess, put on the Longlegs case at this point because she's displayed,
and because they're at a dead end, they have no idea what the hell to do. They haven't been able to figure anything out.
So like, I guess we'll check in with Lee.
May as well. Can't hurt.
Not? And I mean, a lot happens in this period. This is a lot of establishing the relationships that Lee has with her family and how she lives her life. It seems very lonely. She seems fairly something's off with
Something's very off. She has very clearly a weird relationship with her mother. We get the sense that she was brought up in a very religious household.
Because her mom asks if she's still praying.
Right. And like reminds her that that's like how you stay safe from the devil.
Yeah. And almost parallel to this, we're getting moments, I guess, more glimpses of Longlegs.
Right, of what's going on with Longlegs, of him, yeah.
Which is interesting. I did pull one clip of that. This is Longlegs. He has a fascination with doll making, and he goes into this hobby store. And this is a moment, like, I want to say, like, this film... Oz, even with Blackcoat's Daughter, does such a good job of just like turning on like a dread fog machine and just like leaving it on. Like you don't see it, but you feel it, and it is thick and it is unrelenting. But there are funny moments in this. Like there's, light moments of sarcasm from Lee that her boss at the FBI is also kind of an odd duck. Like,
yeah, a little bit weird,
but not anything like surreal or anything. He's just kind of like
just a little strange,
a bit of a guy, like, you know.
Yeah, and he wants to go get a beer, and she's like, I don't drink, and I'm tired, and she's like,
you'll talk, and
yeah,
I'll
that's
drink.
fine, I'll drink.
And then he takes her to his house later that night
Right,
to meet
and-
his wife because he doesn't want to get in trouble for drinking.
Right,
I think
I think so, and also it's another place where you might expect. Again, I think the sexual overtones in Silence of the Lambs were a lot more overt. I think
I don't know if I sensed it. I mean,
well, I think Jodie Foster, even the relationship between her boss and her, the relationship between Lecter and her
is also vaguely sexual.
Yeah, I mean, it's not crazy over the top, but it's definitely a tone.
There's a tension, but there's no tension.
There's no
between
tension
these
in
two,
this,
which is kind of cool. I didn't notice
think that. Like you almost, at least I almost expected it to go that way. Like, oh God, he's making her go get a drink. Like,
no. I don't even think he likes her too much. Honestly,
no, it wasn't that way at all. And in fact, he was like, "Oh, come meet my family." And she's like, And he's like, "No."
Well, this was after a night of her like spreading out beautifully all of this evidence in like a big empty conference room.
Right.
And I mean, like, yeah, she put in a full day's work and now is watching her new boss get drunk and then going to his house. And this is where like there's these moments of comic relief that are delivered by Lee Harker. Like, she's like, "Do I have to go?" These like really light moments where it's almost like, you know who it is? It's Russ. It's Russ in True Detective.
Oh, Rust.
When he's young. Rust. Sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
When he's young. When he was like really focused and
Yep.
like not paying attention or not. And Woody Harrelson is this guy who's like trying to loosen him up.
Right. Right. Well, and then I think, she's sitting in with his daughter Ruby
In
when
the
he
bedroom,
goes,
yeah.
And immediately, as soon as she meets Ruby, I'm like, oh God, this isn't good. This is like, we're already dealing with young girls who are victims of something in this movie, and now we've got like the boss's young daughter that's been brought into the storyline. This is fucking bad.
Asking her to come to her birthday party,
right?
Which is kind of cool. In it also, there's this wonderful line that said, "Is like, is it scary being a lady FBI agent?"
She's like, "Yeah,
yeah, it is.
It is,"
which is really cool. I mean, like,
right.
But there are these light character building moments with odd characters, but it's not. It's like really, really balanced. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, I love it. And also, when you meet Ruby, the daughter, you kind of, it triggers the. I guess it makes you pay more attention to the way that her boss, I can't remember his name, I wonder if I have it written down here, is reacting to the violence towards children, because he's like. Instead of like what we saw with Silence of the Lambs, where everyone was being very protective of what's her name? Of Clarice.
Clarice, yeah.
He is kind of being that for himself in some moments.
Yeah, I mean, she is not treated nearly, other than by her partner at the very beginning.
Yeah,
she's not
he's a dick,
treated
but he got
as
his
this
headshot. So.
Fragile like flower. She's treated as like, what a freaking weirdo. Why is she so good at this? That's really strange, but definitely not
she's
incapable.
Not talked down to, really, which is cool considering she's fairly
If
green.
anything, at some point, it's almost like, wait, are you in on this? Like, why the fuck do you understand all of this? Why are you, like, we haven't been able to get any leads. We haven't been able to figure anything out. Why are you suddenly able to crack this so quickly?
I mean, he kind of asks her that after a while. He says, like...
What's up?
Because there's a moment where someone breaks into Lee's house, which this just like illuminates more of the way that Oz shoots his films. I don't know if you pay attention to this on a rewatch, which this is the film you rewatch. This is a film
I would
that absolutely
100%.
He shoots everything super wide with her oftentimes in the middle, where just it looks like something could creep out or jump out. She's never safe. There's always like windows around her or like wide open. Like her world is like kind of like tree branches almost.
That makes
sense.
What
I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Just surrounding her.
That scene when she's outside her house and walking around trying to figure out what that noise was and the light behind her in the house. Do you remember the story that Wes Larson told us? His Halloween story?
I don't know.
There's a photo that goes with it.
I mean, I do recall a photo.
I'll remind you, but this scene was like that story. It reminded me so much of Wes's Halloween story. I loved it.
I think someone said Fisk. Is Fisk the name of her superior officer? Yes. Or is that Dakota? I would have to... I'm not really sure. Sorry. I'm unprepared with the actors. They were all great and deserve
Yeah, it was
credit.
Blair Underwood.
Yeah. Okay.
Was the actor.
Oh, okay. Great. But so we're getting more of a look into her life, but at the same time we're getting these moments from Longlegs, which I have the one that I started talking about where he's a doll guy and he goes into this craft store.
I thought it was like a
It was a craft
battery store or
I know,
something
I thought
really
so.
specific.
In the theater I thought so too, but then upon rewatching,
Craft. No kidding.
Yeah.
Huh.
What day is your birthday, little angel?
Daddy! That gross guy is back again.
So that's the kind of energy that he's putting out. And this, I mean, I'm going to do my highs and lows, but we certainly see a lot of Longlegs, more than I would have expected.
Yes.
And the more you see him, I think, the more disarming he becomes. Like, he does the legendary, like, cuckoo thing with his hands above his head, which is kind of cool and a little bit reminiscent of maybe some dance moves from Silence of the Lambs, right?
I was going to say it reminded me of Pan's Labyrinth, but...
Sure, with the hands. We're just talking about cool hand shit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that was... I mean, obviously everything that Oz chose to do in this film was intentional, but when we're seeing more of his face, like, you start realizing, I mean, he's done something to himself over time. And I did a little reading about this, and they said that he was trying to make himself beautiful for the devil was the idea.
Ooh, I love that.
And Oz and whoever did wardrobe, their concept was they were looking at botched plastic surgery from the 1980s before it was like good. And
so Mickey Rourke.
I mean, I'm not gonna be.
We are gonna do that for our next movie, right? Our next autopsy.
What are we doing? What one? The Wrestler.
Fuck.
You want to do the Wrestler?
We could do a double feature. We could do Angel Heart and the Wrestler.
I don't think we need to do that, but
no, Angel Heart.
Yeah,
great Halloween flick.
Interesting. I mean, like, Karen Shipka's moment is wonderful, and it kind of starts.
You mean Don Draper's daughter?
Yeah, opening up this door. That's that's right. The her superior is like, isn't that Don Draper's daughter from Sterling Cooper?
Yeah,
that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That was the line.
Yeah,
because okay, so yeah, Lee starts cracking the case. She's also almost given the cipher from Longlegs himself after he broke into her place.
Right.
And she starts putting the pieces together, and it leads her to this barn where there's a doll under the boards of the upper part of the barn that also has a crucifix on it.
Yep.
And as soon as they find this weird doll, the eyes open.
Human-sized doll.
And so does the eyes and the mind of the only victim who kind of got away, right? Like,
can I tell you the story behind why Oz used a doll?
Yes, please.
You're gonna really
because dolls
like
are creepy.
Well, because dolls are creepy. But
Yeah.
Byron, you're really, really gonna like this. So this is a quote from an interview with him. With voodoo dolls, if you want to inflict power on someone, you make a doll of them and you poke it. If you want to bring down a regime, you make an effigy of a politician and you burn it in the streets.
Okay.
Puppets, effigies, sculptures, statues, dolls. That was all in the magic of the world I wanted to create. Now he's talking about the real life murder that served as an inspiration for the doll.
Oh, no.
The murder took place approaching Christmas.
No.
And one present that the parents had gotten for John Bonet
Jesus Christ,
was a life-size replica doll of herself wearing one of her pageant dresses.
You teased us a little.
It was in a cardboard box in the basement 15 feet from where she was killed, and that was something so insane, I'd cataloged it away.
Great
so
job.
he kind of had that in his brain, and that was like the source point
And
for
it's
this.
it's honestly in the same era too, which is really interesting. So Kieran Shipka's performance as this victim in an insane asylum, the psychiatric ward, wonderful. The way that she was adding the S's, I don't know if you...
Oh, so creepy, weird
Y'alls.
speak. Well, it started out as just maybe some weird Southern, like, kind of rednecky thing, and then it just turned into this weird, I don't know, like, satanic pig Latin or something like that.
I wish
that was
I would have pulled the clip of that, but her
So
performance of that
weird.
was unbelievable. And of course, you know that she was a lead in The Blackout's Daughter, so her and Oz could go way back. So I'm so glad to see her in this. I don't think that they're related roles, of course, but
No, but it'd be pretty cool.
that would
if
be a
they
fun
were.
universe, don't
I
you
love
think?
it.
But yeah, I mean, this kind of opens the door for this more supernatural element to come in. Maybe this isn't just Longlegs. We find out in her investigation that the mass murders that are happening, Longlegs isn't in the house ever.
Nope.
It's the family doing it.
Yep.
Typically, the father kills his wife and kids and then himself.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 2 shotguns, a bunch of knives, and a couple different methods. But
it never seems like his fingerprints, his presence never seems to be at all at the time of the murders.
yeah, which leads us to, I guess, the capture, which almost seems like an intentional surrender by Longlegs.
Very much.
How did they get on his trail exactly?
Well, she had given some description of the house he was in, I think. And then he's on the side of the road waiting for a bus to pick him up with
Suitcases full of evidence.
Right. And he's like there, he's waiting. It's like he got word that it was time for him to give his show and tell presentation. And so
Yeah.
he's just kind of waiting there for them to come.
And that was the first shot that we in the clip that we showed with Micah's resting heartbeat. That was the first
After
time
he's
she
been
saw
captured,
him. Which
yeah.
I gotta say, I really think I love his performance in this. I think Nick did a great job. I think they had him for 2.5 days.
Really?
I think it's pretty clear that, I mean, we only see him, much like Hannibal Lecter, we only see him for a couple specific scenes in specific ways. Like, I think they shot most of Nick Cage's stuff in that basement, as well as outside in front of the house, and the scene in the interrogation room. Probably all in pretty quick would be my guess.
I mean, he is making a lot of movies these days.
I don't know if he's doing as many as he used to, but...
Man, he is just like... Yeah, he knows how to hustle.
Well, he did a great job. And I could be wrong there. That was something that I felt. I was like, oh, wait, like, I think he probably could have gotten away with, like, not really showing up much for this.
God.
Yeah. I don't know how much further we need to go down this road. I mean, Kelly, is there anything you want to talk about specifically that requires a little bit of explanation? I don't... And also, there's a correction. It wasn't Fisk. Fisk was the first partner who got shot. Carter is her superior.
Carter, played by Blair Underwood.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's something I want to talk about, but I don't think it requires a spoiler. I will say that towards the end of the movie, you learn something interesting.
Hail Satan. Hail Satan.
That involves parents telling lies to protect their children.
Okay. That's interesting.
So I'm going to leave it that broad, but the reason I bring it up is because it was something that I thought about when watching the movie because of my knowledge of Osgood's background.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a little bit of research, and sure enough, he did bring it up in an interview with IndieWire. He says that there's a portion of every movie that he tries to make very
Real.
personal.
Yeah.
Because if it's personal, then he can't feel like too much of an asshole for what he's, like, the direction he's taking with it. It's kind of like, I don't know. I can call my own sister a pain in the ass, but if someone else calls her a pain in the ass, that's not cool. So as long as I'm making this personal enough that it's okay.
Well, and he can't take it personal if someone doesn't like it.
Right, because it's a
safe thing to do.
his mom, as you mentioned, passed away in the first plane that hit the Twin Towers. And his father, who played Norman Bates, passed away of complications from AIDS. Well, his mother was this very beautiful model, actress, photographer who stayed with his father all the way to the end and protected Osgood and his siblings, ostensibly, in her mind, right? Whether you would agree with this choice or not is not really the issue. It's she lied about what the reality was, both to the public and to a certain age to her children about, because, you know,
he was a closeted gay guy.
He was a closeted homosexual his whole life. We could go on and on about the challenge of both that and then the challenge of trying to hold a family together in a situation that, you know, was incredibly complex. So he really had this parallel behind that idea in this movie that a really caring, loving mother might keep or tell a pretty extreme lie
for the well-being
of their child.
Yeah.
And that was his very personal connection to this movie.
The interesting thing is, from all of the early encounters that Lee has with her mom, which are usually over phone calls, it seems like she's fairly indifferent to her daughter.
Well, what I picked up was, and I didn't feel this way until the end of it, I think she was just out of it.
I think she was tired.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too. She, you know,
and she said when they go to her house, I think it was before Lee's birthday. This is after, I guess we forgot to follow up on this. Carter, in the moments where they seem to still be lost, he's asking questions of Lee. He said, "Lee, do you remember when you were 9? Because he did some research of his own, looking back on Lee, and discovered that the day before her 9th birthday, her mom made a police report about a strange person.
Creepy dude came to the house.
And he is asking Lee, he's like, and I think that this is where we had a question of suspicion of Lee by him, but I don't think it was ever really suspicion, more curiosity and care, right?
Well, yeah, and he's like, wait, what the hell is going on? What is this?
Because she's presenting him with all of these dates that are related, because most of the murders happened, was it 4 days surrounding the 14th?
Because, and so she was able to put together this very clear mathematic pattern regarding the birth dates and the murder dates.
Which created basically a pentagram or some sort of satanic symbol.
Yeah, but I think he may have suspected something, but he wasn't afraid of her. He was like, what the fuck? This is really weird. What the hell?
He says, go visit your mom.
Yeah.
Which was this moment where we finally kind of enter into the world of what Lee must have been like.
Well, and I was, again, expectations when we've heard her on the phone. She sounds a little out of it. I'm expecting like probably a 60-something, really sad alcoholic woman who's had a really rough life and lives in a pretty...
I mean, she's a hoarder when we do enter the house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which that part felt very on brand for what I expected. But I also think this idea of her being out of it and, you'd expect that she's probably like, you know, her brain's been melting for so many years, sitting alone and drinking or whatever. And
we
then
get the visual of like the spinster, like Carrie's mom in Carrie, who is very quiet but can be
terrifying,
like set off, you know, when things don't go her way. That's not really what we have here.
No, again, it's like you expect one
Someone
thing
in
and
the
it starts
chat just
unpacking.
said tits, which is kind of funny.
Tits indeed.
Yeah, thanks. This is a live show.
Oh, tits.
That's great. They're asking for your tits, but...
Oh, I thought it was just like tits.
No. They're
like,
bad.
I've always really appreciated tits as just a random swear word.
That is a funny thing
myself.
to say, but I think they're getting
tits.
I think they're getting blocked would be my guess.
Oh, sad Gus. Well,
sorry about that.
I mean, I just feel like it's another place where Osgood kind of sets us up for an expectation and then kind of takes a hard right.
Sure. But it's a great vehicle for storytelling to send her and it really felt like a human moment and a connection, a further connection between her and her and Carter, which I really, really appreciated.
Yep.
So you want to know why I chose I Saw the Devil as my staff pick?
I don't know why.
Because, I don't know if you've read anything. Apparently, there's at least 12 moments in this film where you see the devil in the background. Like a Baphomet.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Why didn't you tell me that before I watched it? I love looking for Easter eggs.
Well, it's wonderful, and you can do it now at home. There's like websites that kind of show the screen caps, but it's pretty amazing. We don't need to spoil really the end of this.
I don't want to spoil it.
But Kelly, I guess it's that time in the show where we give our highs and lows. It's as above, so below. Should I go first? Below. Although obviously, I think I pointed this out, intentionally disarming. I think they gave us too much Cage and too quickly overall. Too much of his face. I like his presence. I like his writing. But once we see so much of him, he becomes less effective. And if they would have drugged that out just a little bit longer, it would have been a little bit more satisfied, I think. But, the movie isn't really about, like a prolific, skilled serial killer. It's about serial killings and why they're happening, So I guess Longlegs being the Hereditary style villain, like the all-encompassing, terrifying force isn't really the point of this film. So I think it's okay, but it's still my low. I would have rather seen less of his fucking face.
Wow.
My high, though.
Hot take.
My above. 5-star dread throughout. Yeah. Just even though there's moments of relief, which I really loved. I really enjoyed all of the comic relief, especially the scene with the manager of the asylum and his conversation with them about how they probably should check the IDs of the people who sign in and out of visitation. I love that. He's like, that is a good idea, but we don't do that. Which is, he was really a fun, light character. I thought it was wonderful. But yeah, even though there were those moments, you could still, the dread never left your mouth. And I really, really liked that. So, Kelly, how about you?
My low was probably just, I would have loved a little bit more either, and maybe there are, maybe I just need to watch it again, but a few more clues
devils.
Or a little more exposition on why does Lee have this, I don't know, this sixth sense, and why was she put in this position where, this pivotal weird situation that ended up being the catalyst for everything that happened.
So they might call this a gift, but in this case, I think it was a literal gift.
Oh, interesting. I guess I still don't really understand why.
Yeah, that is
her?
What the greater picture is.
Yeah, it felt like there was, and maybe that's just a different story to be told.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I didn't need the full thing explained, but I would have liked just a few more nuggets, maybe in the outtakes.
I think
know.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. My high is your low. My high was Nick Cage.
You just need more Nick.
Well, here's
Nick till you're sick.
I always love Nick.
Yeah.
It's really rare that I watch a movie I don't enjoy him in. My favorite thing about this is he had one actual freak out when he was singing and screaming in the car that was very unsettling. When you're gonna play it.
I have it, but
okay. Well, you look for that while I explain. And the part that was, I don't even think I have to. I literally have to.
Make me and save me from the hell of living.
Save me from the hell of living. It's so good.
Yeah, so that was his only actual Nick Cage moment. That's a very Nick Cage thing, right? The over the top screaming. Now, don't get me wrong, his character was over the top. His look was over the top. But the way he played it, I thought was actually, again, a little bit unexpected. He
kind
was
of restrained.
It was restrained. He was weird as shit and creepy as shit, but it wasn't in like the big,
It wasn't all
huge-
mommy, daddy, save me from this.
Right,
hell of
right.
living.
And so that's what I loved, and I would have loved even more of him. The way that he made it creepy was a distinctly non-Nick Cage way of making it creepy.
It was a unique.
It was a unique Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand why it wasn't what you
I'm just talking
needed.
about physically. Like you show Jaws too soon. Jaws isn't scary anymore. Yeah. And
You're right.
For me, that's kind of what happened.
I mean,
but,
I always say that about monsters. I don't know.
Well, he was a monster.
He was. I felt like I saw just exactly what I needed. I could have maybe even more, but I didn't feel like it was too much.
Yeah. Well, I love Oz's eye. I think his shots are consistently perfect. Like that's what sucked me in with Blackcoat's Daughter, a film that was mostly atmosphere.
Yeah.
Still love it. Obviously, a lot of intentionality across his shots and in his dialogue and in the performances. Like, I'm sure he was like, him and Nick and Micah were like, linked very, very closely with what they wanted this film to be, and it ended up being amazing. Like, even the mannerisms of all of them. Very specific, but the characters, they're really fleshed out, a great balance. I think I mentioned this earlier, fresh and referential. Like, this is obviously Clarice, but with like something is different, there's there's different layers, and it's really it's not, it would be easy to from a distance define this as a spiritual reboot of Silence of the Lambs, but that's not at all what it is.
I would agree. Very different.
The dread. I don't care if it isn't hereditary scary. I think it's fully creepy, and I love it for those reasons. I give this film Long Legs 8.9 pieces of pastel clothing.
Ooh, you really liked it.
I did.
I don't care what anyone says. I find this movie much scarier to me personally than Silence of the Lambs. And part of that is obviously because it involves children. Anything involving children always sets me off a bit more. But just the nature of it, the randomness of it, and the completely off the wall, can't explain the source point of that we get from Nick Cage and his Longlegs character. I loved how many elements of different horror movies that we love get thrown in more as red herrings than as anything else, it felt like. And it created this overall disarmingly comfortable and yet setting you up to be really surprised and disturbed at many different junctures in the movie for all of those reasons, and because Oz Good Perkins will always be my favorite from Legally Blonde.
Buffoon. Turned.
You really need to watch it. I need to rewatch it,
All
actually. Right. I give Longlegs 9.4 head bumps to the table.
Going big, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Those are our thoughts on Longlegs, which is available now on digital. You can watch it. Everyone can go watch it. And once they have, I would like you, the listener,
please,
to reach out to us.
Would love to hear more.
Let us know your thoughts. We are on social media at Frightday on Twitter, at Frightday on Instagram. Contact at Frightday.com is our email address. We have a phone number. You can give us your own review. Let us know what you thought of this film, why you didn't think it was scary or good, or why you loved it with all your heart.
1-833-FRIGHT9.
Which is 1-833-374-4489. Yeah, let us know what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. I don't know if you've seen the teasers for Osgood's next film.
No, tell me.
So it's already done.
It's a Stephen King, right?
It's a Stephen King remake called The Monkey, which is coming out early next year.
It's not The Monkey's Paw.
Nope.
It's just The Monkey.
Just The Monkey. And I think it. I don't know how this works. I mean, Osgood obviously. I mean, he passed the test with Longlegs. I think it was like a proof of mainstream concept, kind of. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like I think it was wrapped. They're like, this is a good movie. We'll obviously green light the next thing right now, and they went into production probably soon after.
Who's in it?
I don't know, because all of the teasers have just been kind of revealing this monkey playing the drums.
Oh, that's unsettling.
Theo
Elijah
James.
Wood? Theo James?
Yeah, I don't know who Theo James is, but
What?
James Wan is producing.
You don't know who Theo James is? You watched The White Lotus, right?
I haven't, no.
Okay. You watched The Gentleman?
Nope, don't know what that is. But
do you know who Elijah Wood is?
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. But I don't know if he's in it or if he's just producing, but it does look like he's in it.
What's his cast?
So Osgood is directing. The story is by Stephen King.
It's another Neon.
It's produced by James Wan, and it's coming out through Neon.
I'll still watch it.
That's just really weird, because James Wan doesn't traditionally put out films through Neon. So this is a branching out of Wan as well,
Or it's the bringing down of Neon. We shall see.
I don't think that's how it's going to work.
I don't know.
February 21st, so we don't have to wait very long. Coming really soon.
Excellent. So,
Yeah.
but the trailer is literally just 2 minutes of like him
Just,
monkey cymbals?
Just a little monkey playing cymbals, I think. Yeah. I mean, we don't need to watch it. We're already running kind of late.
Oh, that's fun. That is not fun music. That's very frightening.
It's just based on a short story by Stephen King. It's a little monkey, producer James Wan.
Triple Dog dare me to go read the short story?
Co-producer of Saw, Insidious, Conjuring, Annabelle, The Nun, M3 again, and Osgood Perkins.
You know what doll's way scarier than the one in Annabelle or M3 again?
Writer and director of Longlegs. They were playing this trailer in the Longlegs.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I love Theo James in this already. I don't care that it's off genre. Everybody should go watch the short series The Gentleman on Netflix. Everybody.
The Gentleman. I don't know what that is.
Everybody.
So I'm excited. I'm in. I think this is going to be really interesting to see what a more mainstream Oz Perkins looks like. So.
Agreed.
Yep, that's all though, unfortunately, for this episode of Frightday. But Kelly, conversation isn't over.
No, in fact, I feel like we've got some very interesting adjacent films to discuss.
Well, we're not talking about films exactly. We're talking about roles inside of films.
Roles in films. So we are talking about films.
Kind of. In Behind the Screams, right now we're going to be doing a tier list of officers, agents, and investigators in horror. But yeah, thanks so much for listening to this. I have to push this button here.
Push the button.
Which is nice. What a wonderful discussion about Longlegs. I know that you guys have been waiting for this one, and a lot of our listeners are going to be pissed that we liked it so much, but I don't give a toot.
I mean, I never care, and I was ready to not like it, truthfully.
Really? You went in?
Well, yeah, because you had warned me that,
This
like,
is
I don't know,
great.
Kelly, some people say that it kind of sucks,
So
and I'm
it's-
like, really?
It's wonderful to not be affected by the, the disruptive hype of a feature
Well, and
film.
I didn't give Sam the temper back, and he still loved it. He was
That's
a
great.
big fan. The last 2 movies Sam's liked.
He's liked them both, huh?
Yeah. Weird.
Well, that's interesting. I don't know what we're talking about next, but I know, Kelly, you have a series that you're working very hard on.
Oh my gosh, I've got so much good stuff. I
Yeah.
can't wait. Byron,
it's okay.
It's connecting. It all is connecting back.
Well, until next episode of Frightday, if you're not heading over to the FrightdaySociety.org right now, we'll see you next time.
Talk to you guys soon.
Stay scared.
You've been listening to an Audio Wool original, produced by Byron McCoy. Theme music is provided by Yawns. For more programs like this, visit audiowool.co.